The rope tightened around her wrists with a coldness that pierced her skin like the edge of a blade drawn beneath a desert moon. Soraya did not cry. She had sworn that no tear would fall for the men who inspected her as livestock, nor for the merchant who had purchased her freedom for a handful of silver, nor for the merciless fate that had dragged her from marble halls to a dust-choked slave market beyond the walls of Corinth. The sun blazed overhead, merciless and unblinking. The auctioneer's voice rose and fell in sharp bursts, numbers striking the heavy air like the beat of war drums. Soraya kept her gaze lowered, her face hidden behind a coarse veil that scratched her cheeks, so different from the silks embroidered with gold that had once framed her features. Her hands, once softened by jasmine oils, were rough and scarred from labor. Yet beneath the rags and the silence lived a truth none of them could imagine. She was no nameless captive. She was the lost daughter of Sultan Kamran of the eastern lands, a princess betrayed by her own blood, a rightful heir cast into exile, accused of murdering the father she had loved beyond measure. When Sheikh ibn Rashwan raised his hand in idle selection, choosing her among dozens as one might select fruit, he did not know he was binding his destiny to hers. The auctioneer's hammer struck. Sold. The word cut through the air like a verdict from heaven. Soraya swayed but did not fall. She had endured her Uncle Mazar's treachery. She had endured chains across scorching dunes, hunger that hollowed her bones, thirst that burned her throat raw. She would endure this. Altair approached with measured steps, his black robe edged in gold thread stirring lightly in the desert breeze scented with spice. He was broad-shouldered, sun-sculpted, his amber eyes sharp and unreadable beneath dark brows. He did not look at her fully, only briefly, dismissively. To him she was merely another acquisition, bought for 20 dinars, an insignificant sum for a man of his wealth. Insignificance, Soraya thought, as she was led behind his horse, was her shield. The caravan departed at sunset. The dunes blazed crimson and gold, the desert seeming aflame beneath the dying light. Soraya walked among servants and newly purchased slaves at the rear, silent as a shadow. At night, beneath a sky ablaze with impossible stars, she ate crusted bread and drank sparingly from a water skin. From afar, she glimpsed Altair's tent, luminous with oil lamps, as he discussed trade routes and tribal tensions with his advisors. His silhouette stood straight, yet she sensed in him a weight, an unseen burden she knew too well. On the second night, as she stared at constellations her mother had once taught her to read, a tear escaped despite her vow. "You carry yourself like one who has not always walked in chains," came a gentle voice. An older woman had settled beside her, Amara, healer of the Sheikh's household. Her weathered hands anointed Soraya's wounded feet with fragrant herbs. She asked no questions. She only said that Sheikh Altair valued honor above all else, that grief had hardened him after losing his mother young, that he had never married, though powerful plans had sought alliance. Soraya listened. She stored every word. 3 days later, the palace rose before them, a sandstone marvel crowned with towers that pierced the starlit sky. Within fortified walls lay fountains whispering over marble, gardens blooming impossibly amid arid sands, mosaics telling tales of valor and devotion. Soraya was assigned to menial tasks, kitchens, courtyards, wells. The steward, Farouk, measured her with stern eyes and little expectation. Yet destiny does not remain hidden forever. One morning, while sweeping near the council chamber, Soraya overheard heated debate. A northern envoy had betrayed a trade agreement through cleverly twisted language. The advisors were confounded. Soraya recognized the trap instantly. She had seen such manipulation before, her uncle's specialty. Before fear could silence her, she approached the guarded entrance and requested audience. Gasps followed her into the chamber. Altair sat elevated, composed, his amber gaze piercing. "Speak," he commanded. Soraya explained the treaty's deception, conflicting lunar and solar year clauses, ambiguous exemptions disguised as safeguards. Her voice did not tremble. She cited specifics with precision that silenced every learned man in the room. When she finished, astonishment hung heavy.
"How does a slave possess such knowledge?" Altair asked quietly. She answered carefully, claiming to have been a scribe's daughter, educated by a father who believed knowledge should not be withheld from women. It was truth without revelation. Altair's lips curved slightly. "From this day forward," he declared, "you will work in my library." Thus began a transformation neither expected. The palace library was a cathedral of knowledge, 3 stories of manuscripts, maps, philosophy, poetry, science. Under Tariq, the elderly librarian, Soraya catalogued and translated ancient texts. Between parchment and ink, she breathed again. Altair began visiting daily. They exchanged no open conversation at first, yet a silent dialogue unfolded. He left volumes upon her desk. She annotated margins with insight. Curiosity grew into respect. One afternoon, a ladder slipped beneath her feet. Before she fell, strong hands steadied her waist. Altair lowered her gently, their faces inches apart. Her veil had shifted. Her eyes, deep jade flecked with gold, met his fully for the first time. Something changed in that moment. Weeks turned to months. Their partnership deepened. At a celebration for his 32nd year, Altair found her alone in her chamber. "Will you dance?" he asked. In that small lamplit room, without music save distant echoes, they moved slowly. When he lifted her veil and saw her unveiled beauty, his breath caught. "Who are you truly?" he whispered. And Soraya chose courage. She told him everything, the poisoning, the false accusations, her escape through hidden corridors, her capture and sale, her vow to reclaim her father's throne. When she finished, Altair held her face in his hands. "I believe you," he said. He confessed his own scars of betrayal. He vowed to stand by her side, to seek truth, to restore her honor. From that night, they were united in purpose and in heart. Months of secret investigation followed. Spies gathered evidence. Records revealed Mazar's purchase of rare toxins. Testimonies surfaced of bribed guards. Forged letters were exposed. Love blossomed quietly amid strategy and shared vulnerability. Beneath moonlit gardens, Altair kissed her, confessing a love born the day she had defied his council chamber with fearless intellect. They became inseparable. At last, they possessed undeniable proof. Altair summoned the Grand Council of the Desert, a rare assembly of rulers, convened only in grave matters. The trial would take place in the neutral city of Kalansar. Before departure, Altair knelt before Soraya with an emerald ring reflecting her eyes. "Whatever the verdict," he said, "be my wife." She answered with tears and joy. At Kalansar, Soraya faced Mazar for the first time since her exile. Recognition flashed across his face, shock turning to fury. In the great domed hall, before rulers and witnesses, evidence unfolded piece by piece.
The physician testified, financial records were displayed, the Sultan's own journal revealed suspicions written days before his death. Soraya spoke last. She told of her father's kindness, the horror of finding him dying, the grief of false accusation. Her voice carried truth no performance could imitate. The council deliberated. When they returned, the verdict thundered across the chamber. Mazar was guilty of regicide, conspiracy, and unlawful usurpation. Soraya was declared innocent and rightful sultana of the eastern lands. The hall erupted. Altair caught her as her knees weakened. He kissed her openly before the council, a declaration beyond politics. They returned east not as fugitives, but as sovereign and future consort. Crowds wept with relief and repentance. Her coronation followed, yet before it came their wedding, held beneath the ancient rosebush where her mother rested. Their vows were not recited from tradition, but written from wounded, faithful hearts. She promised wisdom shaped by suffering. He promised partnership rooted in honor. A year later, the eastern lands flourished under their joint leadership. Reforms uplifted the poor, alliances strengthened peace. Justice, not vengeance, defined Soraya's reign. In quiet gardens, she rested her hand upon the child growing within her, a future born not in fear, but in hope. Often Altair joined her beneath the roses, their fingers intertwined, no words needed. The tale of the slave who was a sultana and the sheikh who saw her worth became legend across the desert winds. It was told not merely as romance, but as testimony, that destiny may wound before it heals, that truth may sleep before it rises, and that love, when rooted in honor and courage, can redeem even the darkest betrayal. And whenever the story was spoken beneath starlit skies, listeners would remember that the rope which once bound Soraya's wrists had not defined her fate. Faith had, and love had sealed it forever.